What is going on, everybody? It is a wonderful Thursday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. A little bit later than that, but we got started early this time and not late like yesterday. Thank you for being here. We have a great episode today. We have a chemist who knows a lot about supplements and vitamins, Susan Buta, and we are going to have her on in a little bit. I'm super excited to have her. I've got probably a billion questions. I hope you have questions for her too. We're going to do our normal introduction. Feel free to join us as we continue our journey online together. And you can find us at holisticlifeconsultants.com. You can find us at the Life Coach Insta on Instagram. I posted on there about today earlier. And you can find us on YouTube, but it's not that easy. It would be the Life Coach, Holistic Life Consultants. You will find me very quickly there. And and you're here on one platform or another. We're Holistic Life Consultants on Facebook. And feel free to become a member. You get behind that paywall. We have so many resources, and we have a safe and confidential live stream chat with me personally, where I answer questions and go over important aspects of your life, whether it's a parent, you're a sibling, you're in a relationship, or you're a college student, high school student, or just looking to figure out what the heck you're supposed to do on this planet. I'm here. I'm here for you to discuss things with, bounce ideas off of, and obviously you get that information without giving up your identity. So feel free to do that. All right, we are pretty good, I think, on all our levels. We're going to put the Zoom chat down for a second. Just want to see if this all overlays and everything are working. As long as you guys can see everything, that's fantastic. If you can hear the music, that's great too. I just want to make sure that you can. And then I will need you to sound check again when we have our guest, because for some reason, sometimes Zoom comes through the audio and sometimes it doesn't. So far it looks like things are working. So that's pretty cool. I really need it. Don't use an ad blocker, but I really need one for this stuff because it's so annoying. All right, so we're going to talk about, obviously, vitamins. We're going to talk about supplements. We will talk about soil depletion. We'll talk about the things that are important, the building blocks of your body and brain. There's a lot of things that I can help you with from a CBT standpoint or from a coaching standpoint, but if you do not have your nutrition in check, if you're not eating right, if you're lacking what your body needs to operate normally, guess what? It won't operate normally. Isn't that weird? So yeah, that is what we're going to be discussing today. If you would like, you can feel free to put in questions preemptively. I do have a series of things that I'd like her to discuss, but I'm happy to start with you. You guys are more important. All right, hold on one second. A series of things that I'd like her to... Boom. Okay. So we have the live chat going on Facebook. We have... Everything's set. How are you guys doing? Oh, by the way, today I have... And I will switch over. Hold on. Pause this music. I do love that song. Stillface, again, is the band that does all the music for this particular live stream. But today I have my Spider-Man mug from Universal Studios. You can see the city is in his eyes. And the whole mug is actually shaped like his face, like his head. So, very cool mug. I love this mug. It's I treat this thing like it's made out of, like, crystal, just because I can't get another one. I'd have to go back down to Florida and get it, and I don't even know if they still have it. But great coffee today. It's still warm. I wouldn't say hot. I made fresh coffee. I mixed it with some of the coffee I had from home, so it tasted better, but still was hot and fresh. So, cheers to all of you who are here early, ready to go, amped up, ready to talk about some supplementation and nutrition. But yeah, if you have a beverage, cold or hot, doesn't matter to me. I'm raising my mug to you. Cheers. Wow, that is good. It is much better when I do it this way. And it's like half the caffeine. So I'll let you guys in on a little secret about me. I have this thing where I sleepwalk and sleep talk. And it's really bad when I drink coffee at night because I'll be running and running and running and my body just keeps going. And I realize that the more that I drink coffee at night, because I did this a couple nights ago where I had it wasn't decaf, it was the regular caffeinated crap. I was just talking and talking and talking, and I kept talking, but I fell asleep. So I was gone, still talking, not making sense, but still talking. And it took a while for my body to shut down and catch up with my brain. And so this is a thing that's been going on for a long time, probably since at least 2012, 2014. And it's pretty weird. It weirds me out. And I'm asleep, so I have no idea what's going on, but I'm hallucinating or whatever it is that you do when you're dreaming. But I'm still talking and walking. So trying not to drink coffee or caffeine at night for everybody's benefit, mine mostly. And so I that's one of the reasons I try to do decaf when I'm drinking coffee here. It's important to me, but it's so hard to get good tasting coffee. And I just don't know an alternative. I don't love tea. I was in a tea phase for a while in my early 20s. What do you guys think? Do you have a suggestion? Something that is not like, it's not water, but it's not like there's no calories and it's still interesting to drink and it would help my throat while I'm talking. Because especially on days like today, I was talking all day, all afternoon, and now this afternoon and this evening. So it would be fantastic if I had something as an alternative to coffee and that I liked, because I just really don't love decaf. It's really different. It really is different, and I'm not sure why. And maybe I'll ask our chemist. I'll ask her why it's different, but I really don't know why it's so much different. But it does taste very different, and it's just not as good. It's really, I'm struggling here. And this is with it being half caffeinated or a quarter caffeinated. So any help that you could offer would be fantastic, because I really like to have my body and brain fall asleep at the same time. That would be fantastic. But what are you guys doing this weekend? What are your plans? What is it you want to do? Like what's going on this weekend before we get started? Our guest is going to be on, I believe, in 6 minutes. So we've got a couple minutes together where you can tell me about you. There we go. Okay. So I have that ready to go. But you guys can tell me what you're doing and what you're up to. And I'd be happy to, talk about it. If you have questions with me, obviously, before. Oh, I need to send my Facebook name. I just did. All right. You do not have to bribe me with a mug to get me to go anywhere. Yes, it is coffee. I can show you actually in this mug. I don't know how much I'm willing to tip that, but that is coffee in there. And yes, that does seem like a good solution. So thank you. I got one suggestion for how to fix this. But yes, this is coffee. This is a quarter decaf or a quarter caffeinated and then 3/4 decaf. Okay. So that's the solution that I've gotten so far. I have one solution. I'm willing to try it. Sounds good. But yeah, that is a thing. It's definitely a thing that I deal with, and it's not my favorite. So yeah, and it's weird because the only way that you know it is that somebody tells you later, like, "Hey, you didn't make any sense when we were talking," and you're like, "What do you mean?" Like I'd be over at my friend's house, and like, I thought that I finished watching a movie, and we watched an entire other movie apparently that I commented on. It was pretty funny the whole time, but I was asleep, and that just happens. Like it's not great. It's not always a great look, but 'tis what it is. You know, you have stuff that goes on, and you have things that your body does, and you know, these are the things. These are a few of my not favorite things. Do you guys have anything weird like that? You guys have like weird stuff that happens that's like only you? Yeah, so I'm just trying to make sure that our guest can post and share on Facebook, and then she will be coming on, and we'll be able to talk shop. We'll be talking about important things. But anyway, let's not put this on for a little bit. I just think that we can talk a little bit more about vitamins and supplements today than I usually can. I have done a lot of research actually in this regard. I have done quite a bit to study this, so it's great to have an expert on, somebody who's really knowledgeable, who does this for a living, literally, and has spent the time on the science, the STEM side of it. That's what I think is really, I can have a nutritional specialist on, I can have a person who has a certification as a dietitian, but I think from the science perspective, it is unique, and I think wholly it's just better to get different points of view. I don't know if you guys, I mean, for those of you lore masters who have been here for a couple of years, you know that I've been, you know, I've had a dietitian and a nutritional expert on here, but not, obviously not a chemist. All right, so we are going to try this. If you guys can stay with me for a minute, let's get this started. Hello.
Howdy, how are you tonight?
Hey, good. All right, so we're going to do a couple things before we get started. I want to do a sound test and make sure that chat can hear you. That's always the most important thing. And my view is hidden, but obviously you can't see me because the camera is being monopolized by the live stream.
Yes.
But you can hear me okay, right?
Yes, I can, and I can see you on the Facebook version.
Nice. Very nice. All right, so we're going to do the overlay so that you are front and center. All right, here we go. So we have you on. I want to make sure that the sound levels are good. You can hear me? Oh, awesome. All right. Thank you, Miss Nick. So you can be heard. All right. So
all right, good news.
Very good news. All right. So I have let's see. I have your information. By the way, I have your information up on the description. If you are watching this on Facebook or if you're watching this on YouTube and Twitch as well, you can see right in the description all of the different ways to get a hold of Susan, and I would very much encourage you to do so. But we're going to go over this a few different times. I'm not just going to do like a rundown of like a resume, but we will be talking about what's important for you guys to be clicking on, and definitely try to get in touch with her if you have more questions than we can answer in just this short period of time today. But do you want to describe yourself a little bit, or would you like me to do the little description that you had given? You tell me, what would you prefer?
Oh, I'll introduce myself, because let's say I was just meeting you all, face to face. This is probably what I would say.
Okay.
So I'm Susan Buta. I'm a chemist who's really passionate about vitamin supplementation. I got into it just because of a little bit of my own story, but also because of the real need out there that I see. That I mean, that vitamin supplement shelf, right? At the grocery store or the supermarket, whatever, right? And it's like, how do you choose? What do you know about it? And I've really come to study this for about 20 years. I really love looking into the science and the quality and brands and all sorts of things. And what I hope to do tonight is bring some of that expertise to you.
That's fantastic. That's exactly what I'm looking for, because what I said is, I've done a lot of research into vitamins and supplements, but I'm not an expert and I'm not a chemist. And I really want to get the STEM perspective from you in terms of like what's good. Because there's so much, there's no way everything's good, but there's no way that it's all a waste. And so I did pick a couple of articles to go over with you, and I know you had picked a couple articles as well. So we're going to do our best to get through all that, let me just bring, I want to bring you up with,
Yeah, there's a lot of meat in those.
right? So
Yeah.
I picked them on purpose because I thought like they're sort of balanced, not super balanced, but like they're sort of balanced, right? Like they talk about here's some things that are good, but most of them are useless. I mean, that's just such a broad statement. Like most of these are useless. Cool.
Right.
Thanks. Like you're already
Right.
setting people up to just dismiss all of it as an industry, especially when it's voluntary money being spent on this stuff. And I mean, that was my hot take originally. It was just like this article sucks because it's making people negative about supplementation in general. This one,
Right.
obviously, this comes from Aaron Broadwin from Business Insider, and I chose
Yes.
Business Insider because I think a lot of people read that. I think that it's a very popular publication, and a lot of really bad articles come out of Business Insider in general.
Yeah.
In
I mean,
general,
yeah. Well, I mean, I think especially I guess one of the other publishers was Science Alert, and they really are trying, but it takes something to really go back. If you notice in this article, there are no citations.
right?
And then you go back to the one that at the very end, you can say, oh, see the Atlantic for the original article. There are no citations. So, how do you start verifying what they're actually saying? So, I had heard about this study before. I've known about this study. There's, believe it or not, there's a lot of agreement I have with some of their conclusions, but you really have to go back to the original study to see what they're actually saying. And this is so common. Now, good luck finding it. It took me about 10 minutes to bring it up live again. And they don't make it easy to verify the claims. And that's pretty normal because sensational headlines are just so much more fun than trying to explain all the detail.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, that's how you grab people's attention is let them know that everything they're doing is wrong and everything's terrible and everything that they're going to do in the future is wrong and they're going to die basically. I mean, it's like that's WebMD in a nutshell. Like you're going to die. Here's why. Like, okay, I've got 6 different types of cancer because I have a headache.
Well, that's it. It's like Google, Dr. Google, right? And we say that. But no, there is a lot of concern. And if I was going to look at this, and what I have to do is really start out saying there is a lot of junk on the market. And I have to agree, most of what I see probably will not work. And it's one of the reasons that, I really saw a need to be who I am. Um, what do here's an example. So, in a lot of these studies, especially the one that was out of JAMA in this one, about the Iowa study, this was looked at from about I thought it was 1994. And the last data into this was about 2007, and it was published in 2011. So the study's about, 11 years old.
Yeah.
And, I'm not saying it was not a good study, but a couple things that we have to really realize. A lot of the people who are taking these multivitamins or vitamins in general were already sick. I mean,
Oh.
yes, if you have cancer, probably B12 and folate are not going to cure your cancer
Hey, I mean, it's
because
not
that's not
chemo
how
to take a
vitamins
B
work.
complex?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's part of it, but also the purpose of vitamins. Let's really take it back to there because the purpose of vitamins in our bodies is to help the body's natural functions function better. So vitamins help us build enzymes and help the processes. Sometimes they're used as like enzyme. They're either to help build the enzymes. Sometimes they're the enzyme themselves. Sometimes they're coenzymes. And it just makes all the chemical processes work smoother, faster. Okay. So when I'm thinking about something like metabolism over a number of years, and I really like using this because people can kind of relate, okay, I've got food energy and I want to convert it to body energy. It takes a lot of nutrition to do that. It's not just a little like, oh, let's have a little B12 for energy. So if I was looking at a car, and let's say I had a 8-cylinder car, a 6-cylinder car, a 4-cylinder car, you're going to get the most if all the cylinders are firing, right?
Yeah.
But let's say you don't have a nutrient for, 2 of the cylinders. what are you going to do? You're going to lose that. We're going to leave that energy on the table. So what we want to do is give the body what it needs. And what it needs is a full complement of B complex, the full B complex. It needs it in a certain proportion. It needs, little CoQ10 in there, needs a little iron, needs a little zinc, needs a lot of little things in there. And when we have all the nutrients available, then the cells get what they need and they can perform as optimally as they can according to how evolution and nature has designed us. When you do that over time and you have vitamins that actually get in your body, that's a big thing. Uh, um, and if we have a good diet, one of the biggest things is I can't replace a vitamin can never replace a bad diet. Can it support people who have non-optimal diets? Yeah, but I always like to say start with food. That's how nature intends it. And then exercise is always going to be a great magic pill. But a supplement supplements diets. And when we supplement wisely and we give the body what it needs, and the body can have a greater chance of staying healthier. Let's put it that way.
I just got a question. I've seen a lot of people using collagen lately. Should most
Oh,
people
yeah.
be using a collagen supplement?
Well, collagen, there has been, that's such a hot thing on the market
Yeah.
because people want to look younger, longer. And yeah, collagen, there is definitely some good research that shows that it helps hair, be healthier and things. But what's collagen really? Collagen is a way for the body to get the amino acids it needs. So again, if we start young, giving the body what it needs, with proper nutrients like, enough antioxidants like vitamin C, but not only vitamin C, with proper proteins that have all the amino acids, our collagen isn't going to break down as fast. So, but does it work? Yes, there is some information that says it does work. Honestly, I'm not keen on animal products. So, I mean, it's not one I know we can get those amino acids another way, but I'm not going to kick it for people that, really do, especially as we're getting older, if they want to throw a little collagen, just make sure it's a really high quality product because you are dealing with an animal product there. You want really good stuff.
Okay. No, that's good to know. It's not even about just the supplement, but like it's the quality of the supplement, like where it's being sourced from is really, really important. Like this,
Yes.
and I look at these claims like vitamin D, it helps keep your bones strong and it's hard to get from food. And then, getting sunlight, they talk about sunlight like helping produce that. But then you
Mm-hmm.
look at people who live like in Alaska and like for months out of the year, that's not happening. And sure, they can get a solar lamp, but like it's not exactly the same. Like, would that be a
No.
place where like supplementation would make sense?
Well, since 94% of the American population is deficient in vitamin D or at least micro deficient, yeah, it's probably something we all need to supplement. And I think this is where it has become um, more of an issue. We want to protect ourselves from skin cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we need that UV light to make vitamin D. Vitamin D is made in the melanin of our skin. Okay. So if we don't allow our skin exposure to sun, and if you're inside all day or using sunscreens and stuff like that, you're not going to get that exposure. Up north, so I'm in Boston. I mean, we can make vitamin D, 5 months out of the year,
Yeah, about, yeah, if you're
By
lucky.
February, November through February, March, the sun's rays aren't even strong enough to make it because we're too low an angle to the sun to get those vitamin D's. And plus it's too cold,
Yeah.
really.
And you're
We're not
covering
going
up.
out. It's like, get some sun. So yeah, it is important. Of course, it's very important to check with your doctor and see what they think. Most doctors are doing vitamin D's, but I can almost guarantee everybody in the north of the United States up through Canada and stuff, we're not getting enough. We can't make it. And if you are, the darker your skin is, the more chance that you will have a deficiency.
Why is that?
So, because darker skin, remember their dark skin has been excuse me, not melatonin. See, I want to go there. I guess it's that time at
we
night.
will talk
Melanin.
about melatonin now that you're
Yeah,
started
I'm like
talking
into
about
melatonin.
it.
It's about 8:20. Mine's starting to be made, getting ready for no melanin.
Yeah.
The darkness of the skin, particularly, has protected people who have very dark skin from the sun's harmful rays. So they have a natural protection to UV rays, and therefore they make even less vitamin D,
So it's even
even when
more
they're out in
important.
the sun.
It's more important to supplement then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why doctors are very good now. But you don't want to take tons of vitamin D, honestly. Right now, the US, it used to be so easy to talk about the USRDA. It has now become much more complicated because they're trying to assume what 50% of the population will need to bring them up into nutrient adequacy, or at least not deficiency. So anyway, I'm not going to really go into that right now, but we probably need about 25 micrograms, 50 micrograms. That's about it. Unless the doctor says more. If you're older, over 50, you probably need a little bit more. But it's not like, we need tons and tons. We should not be taking tons and tons of vitamin D. Like 100, micrograms, way too much unless we're under a doctor's care.
That's it. That's really interesting because the supplements that you see, like the more expensive they get, the more they have in it. And then you're thinking, well, I'm spending more money on this, so I'm probably getting better, like because it's like the better quality and I'm getting more of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes more is better if it's done well according to what the body needs and according to the science. So, something popular that, we want to protect our bones, we want to take calcium supplements. Well, you don't want to take a calcium supplement that's just calcium. You can make it better absorbed if we add vitamin D. But if there's magnesium in there, then the vitamin D helps transport the calcium into the bone better. But oh, yes, you need vitamin K and zinc and copper. I mean, these are the things that make a good complex for calcium. But how do you know?
Right.
You
You just
know,
see these like Adora things and it's just calcium.
yeah. Or another thing I see is, we're supposed to get 1,000 milligrams a day. So they try to pack 1,000 milligrams of calcium into a pill. Your body can't handle that. That's pressed too tight for the body to dissolve. So what we want to do is give a product that is going to give less, and in something like a calcium or magnesium, which are fairly large minerals, the powders, need to be able to disperse. Maybe get something sustained release so it can absorb slowly and you utilize all the calcium or magnesium that we're taking. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's so complicated and it's funny like that we're talking about like the simplest thing of like calcium supplement or like vitamin D, but like there's so much more to it. I just got another question. I was told vitamin C would help me get fewer bloody noses. Is that a thing?
Yeah, well, actually, vitamin C does support building of the capillaries. But again, first of all, I hope that the person who's asked this question has talked to the doctor to make sure that there isn't anything structurally wrong with their, but
They
a
have like
lot
an
of people get
exposed
bloody noses.
capillary in their
That's
nose.
normal.
Yeah.
But it could also be, yeah, it could be, everything from allergies to, dryness in the house or whatever. So, always start by asking your doctor. But also, I know that capillary strength is not just based on vitamin C. I mean, what about the proteins that we're eating? I mean, proteins are necessary for building cell walls as well as multiple nutrients. So, people often ask me, it's like, what should I take?
Yes.
And it's interesting. I keep saying, I don't know. We have to ask some questions,
So wait, let's pause for a second because I'm kind of done with this article because it sounds like you're actually just giving more information than even this article is going to give, and kind of probably the other one too. So I do want to ask this: what when you say I don't know, and I'll just switch to you actually as the full screen because I want to ask you this: how do you know? How do you find this out? You said it's complicated and like you have to do some like get some information. How do you get that information? What information would you need?
Okay. So when I work with somebody, and let's say they're a consultation client, I first want to know what the doctor has said about their condition, because if, blood tests can be so useful and that diagnosis. See, I am not a doctor. I cannot diagnose, treat, cure, mitigate any kind of disease.
Yeah.
What I look at is what's the biochemistry saying, and what do different body systems, what are they telling us about the source of maybe extra support may help. Um, so we'll start with, a health history. We start with lots of questions about, food, behavior, exercise. What does the doctor say? And then after all that, I sit down with a person for about 90 minutes and really ask a lot of questions about how do they feel. And I'll tell you, this is where the little pieces of gems start coming in, where I can start tying things together. So like somebody says, oh, my gut's bothering me all the time. It's like the first thing I have to think about is, well, why? Is there something pathological? Again, that's where the doctor comes in. Is there something food oriented? Is there something nutrition oriented? I mean, if somebody has a food issue, I really like them to go see a nutritionist, because I don't do food plans. But sometimes through the questioning, I get an idea of like, is this something based on stress? Are there patterns in is there something that there's been a big case of antibiotic usage in the past? What's another thing with gut? Is there something about too little or too much fiber in the body? So those are kind of the things I'm thinking about to try to figure out, why is the body doing what it's doing? And is there something nutritionally we can support the body? Then once all these questions and all this data comes in, I go away for about a week and I really think about it. And
Okay.
sometimes, I have to do some research. If they have a particular condition, I might send them back to their doctor, because it's like, oh, it'd be really helpful if you could ask this question. And then I come back, I'll recommend a package. And I don't believe in single supplementing. So it's not just like a multivitamin is going to cure everything or a probiotic is going to cure everything. It's really about, what does the system need for support? And then it's like, take it back to your doctor, see what they think, or make your choice, whatever you need to do. But, then we talk about possible, if they're going to continue with me. And if they continue with me, I continue and purchase the supplements that, from through my office and through the companies I recommend, then I continue supporting them.
Okay.
So you can
all right.
take the recommendations and run, or you can stick around and get more support.
So we are going to continue to talk about some articles, but first, I do want to ask the question: where do they go and like to get that first conversation with you? Because honestly, like if you're watching this, and especially if you're not live, obviously you're interested in finding out what's going on with your health and with supplements, and the answers that I hope that you're hearing here is that there's no way for you to just guess, and there's no way to know. It really is a complex, complicated process. So you probably would benefit from a consultation from somebody like Susan. So where should we send people? Like, what's the best of the? Let me just pull this up here, of the list of things that you have here, and obviously the descriptions have this information. What would be the easiest way to start that conversation with you?
Okay, do you have the direct link for the 10-minute chat in there?
Is
I
it the
don't
Calendly
see.
link with the
Yes,
Boston?
the Calendly
Okay,
link,
so
right.
this
10-minute chat.
that's
What I do is I really like to, see what people's goals are. When we find out the goals and we see, generally what's happening. If somebody is, generally healthy, just giving a nice range of supplementation may really be helpful. But if people have, there's some health issues going on, then, consultation may be much more appropriate.
okay.
So, sometimes it's like, yeah, let's try this and see how your body responds. And it's going to give us some information. But then there's sometimes it's like, no, I got to really think about this.
Okay. All right. So hold that thought for a second. We're going to do a BRB LOL. I'm going to refresh some coffee. I'm going to put on a little bit of music. We'll be back in like a minute, and we're going to go over some more articles and get your opinion on some other stuff. And I did have another question, and I will remember what it is, but I'm going to ask it to you as soon as we get back. So, all right, guys, BRB LOL. Here, listen to some music for a second. I'm going to go refresh the coffee that is probably not good for me. All right. I did swap out the mug for the Spider-Man is no longer with us. We now have R2D2 coming in hot, literally and figuratively, to take care of the rest of this live stream. So we are getting back to it, and we're going to go over some more articles. And I would love to hear your thoughts on, we might skip this article entirely because this one asks kind of a similar question. Is there really any benefit to multivitamins? And I guess the only thing that would be different from this article from the other one is vitamins are a multi-billion-dollar a year industry. And I kind of wanted you to speak to that a little bit because there's a lot of people that think, well, it's all a scam industry. There's a ton of different companies, especially like broadcasts and things that are selling their own supplements. And there really seems to be a lot of fish oil salesmen when it comes to the supplement industry. And yet,
literally.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yes. And so, we have that going on. But at the same time, the medical industry is $1 trillion a year industry. So, and I think it's pretty obvious to see that unhealthy people need the medical industry more. So there would be a vested interest in certain pharmaceutical companies to downplay the entire industry and be able to highlight the bad eggs in that industry. So I kind of wanted to get your take on that in general because this is your world.
Yes. All right. Wow. We've got a lot to unpack there. First of all, I'm just going to really quickly address the article. That's true. Multivitamins generally don't do much for people. It's because, people do expect a multivitamin to cover, other poor dietary habits.
Yep.
And what a multivitamin is really there to do is to make us not deficient. That doesn't mean nutritional adequacy. And I'm more interested in nutritional adequacy.
What's the difference? I'm sorry.
Okay. So nutritional deficiency is when you do not have enough of an essential nutrient, which that's what vitamins are, things that we have to get from our food outside our body. We can't manufacture them. So these essential nutrients have to be in our body to let those natural processes go. The amount of nutrition that is in a multivitamin is designed so you will not get things like scurvy,
nice.
Vitamin C deficiency or vitamin D deficiency or vitamin A deficiency. It's not the level that research suggests promotes adequate health over the length of time. So if you're eating a perfect organic diet, I agree you probably don't need a lot of vitamins. But you have a lot of people that are eating a beautiful organic diet and they're vegetarian. Well, there's certain nutrients you can't get from vegetables. So we have to supplement. Or people who don't eat a lot of vegetables. or and fruits. They can't get what they're, even though their diet may be pretty good, but if their range of fruits and vegetables are too small, again, we're not eating that colorful plate and we might not be able to get what we need. So past that, we're one of the articles, I believe, I think I saw it in one of them, talked about food. And food is not as nutritious as it used to be.
Yes, this article from Scientific American.
Yeah. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one,
Sorry.
commercial farming, they do not, yes, that one.
Yep.
They do, commercial farming does not put full nutrients back into the soils. It's mostly nitrogen going in, nitrogen fixation. Occasionally they're adding a few more nutrients, but honestly, when we used to mix poop and last year's crops and whatever was coming in, and mixing it through the ground, it was a richer soil. But when, big machines are not going to be putting back these minerals that used to be in the soil, which have been removed. So we do have some issues with that. Also in the way we do transport food starts losing its nutrition pretty quick after harvest.
Okay.
And so, transport something from Chile or California out to Boston or whatever, some of the nutrients are going to, be lost during that transportation. So there are some real issues with our food. And the third thing that I think is a real important thing to understand about food, unfortunately, our fruits and vegetables, again, if they're not local and picked fresh and sweet, when you've eaten that really great peach, right? From the store, or, oh my gosh, that kale tastes like, oh, so good. That carrot is just so amazing.
Yeah.
Chances are that those have been ripened in the ground on the vine, like the way we would normally do it if we were farming ourselves. We don't pick green tomatoes.
Right.
We don't, right? So what do? They pick fruits and vegetables green, and then along the trip, a lot of times they will the distributors will pump ethylene gas into the storage units to hasten ripening. But since the water goes in the very last couple of days, few days of fruit really getting ripe or vegetables really getting ripe, we're missing that water that comes in at the end with the flood of nutrients as the plant is preparing to drop its seeds.
Right.
It's going to give the last push to make sure that, whatever is holding its seeds are going to be the healthiest, most nutrient filled things, because the plant's going to die after it fruits.
Right.
So it gives everything to it. So when we have, when you go to the grocery store, pick the vegetable, the fruit that's heavy for its size. It's probably been naturally ripened a little longer. And it'll taste better too. So,
That's
it's like
good
you'll
to know.
see if you follow me at a grocery store, you'd sit there. I'm like, not smelling, I'm holding it. It's like, which one's heavier? It's like, oh, that peach is going to be good.
I didn't know that. That's really cool.
So it's like, yeah, it looks like I'm kind of juggling, man. But it is, that's a good way to get more nutritious food.
Okay.
So, all right. So multivitamins, yeah,
Yes.
not enough, you know. And again, we start with food. Please start with food. And then we want to supplement the diet according to what research says is helpful.
So it's not that there's no value though. Like,
No, actually the multivitamin I recommend has 5 peer-reviewed published studies that say, yeah, it's helpful and it works. So, it's like, are good things out there? Yes, good products are out there.
what about these? I'll pick on Centrum just because it's
Mhm.
Centrum. What about these vitamins that are specific to like a population, like women's vitamin, older men vitamins, like they're formulated specifically for men? Like,
Yeah.
um, what's the deal with those? Why are they marketed? And is there value to getting specific multis for different populations?
I do think there is benefit for getting I guess we'll call it age appropriate nutrients.
I like that. Age appropriate nutrients.
Yeah, it's because our nutritional needs do change over time. And certain, all right, so what's a good example? Good example is elderly people don't absorb B12 vitamin
Hmm.
as as well as somebody who's much younger. So maybe they need a little bit more. Okay. One thing that starting about age 35 or so, our ability to manufacture CoQ10, which is a coenzyme that helps, well, I mentioned metabolism for one thing. It helps the chemical reactions, um, you know, run more smoothly and more efficiently. That our ability for our liver to make that decreases over time. So, and again, starting about age 35, but I hate to say it, when you stop growing, you start aging.
Yep.
So it's like 25 to 85, you're.
Yep.
So we want to keep what we need. And then those processes start breaking down. Well, by the time you're 65, you're not making CoQ10 a lot, and people are a lot achier. Okay. What happens when people take statin drugs? And I got this from the man who discovered Lipitor. The same process that that makes Lipitor stop cholesterol building in your liver shuts off the mechanism for making CoQ10.
Oh, great.
And one of the biggest side effects of people taking statins is a lot of achy leg cramps or, pain in their muscles. And that's because, a good, well, I can't always say it's because only a doctor can really say, but a lot of that is cleared up when supplementing with a good CoQ10 product. So things do change when we're older. And of course, unless your doctor says so, if you're people generally should not be taking iron unless they're menstruating women and children, and that's only like low constant amounts, 18 milligrams or something a day. But unless a doctor says something, or again, if somebody is vegan and never eats a meat product, they might need a little bit more iron because it's hard to pull out of green leafies,
Yeah.
vegetables, which is one of the best sources, or beans. Sometimes they need a little bit more, but a doctor should be able to tell you. And that's one of the reasons it's really important to go see your doctor like regularly, because it's about preventative care,
Yeah, no, for
That
sure.
care is no fun.
But I mean, it's good to know that at least the age appropriate. I'm going to get some NC-17 vitamins pretty soon. I think that is it is important to get. I like the age appropriate vitamins. So, all right, but yeah, so we went over kind of the dirt being poor and multivitamins working. This last one you sent to me, so I wanted you to kind of speak to this article: micronutrients in psychiatry, sound science or just hype?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Now this is such a I think it's so important to really start talking about the support supplements can have for mental health, um, and better brain health. Really, what it is better brain health. Which, when your body is healthy and your brain is healthier functioning, then it can make the chemicals that'll help mental health. All right. Um, I the research I've been seeing has I, why am I going, huh? Because I'm thinking about three articles simultaneously that I recently had read about omega-3s, and, does it help, with memory, or does it help with depression? Does it help prevent depression? What does it happen? What happens with it with anxiety?
Yep.
And I, studies can sound like the headlines can sound like so similar that it's very confusing to really understand the research, because one study will say doesn't make any difference and another study will say makes a lot of difference.
Right.
What really has to happen is really getting into that study and seeing what did the scientists actually ask. And if they're asking about, does omega-3s prevent depression in healthy populations? Well, if they're healthy populations and they may not be deficient in omega-3 fatty acids won't generally be part of the prevention factor. Does this make sense?
Yeah, if they don't
If
need
you
it,
don't
they're not
need
going to
what you don't
benefit from
need, you don't
extra.
need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then on the other side, there's been some really awesome research that when people are starting support of pharmaceuticals for depression, anxiety, people who take omega-3s while they're taking their antidepressants, as the antidepressants start, the blood levels start going up and getting to therapeutic levels, and that takes usually about 3 weeks or so.
Yep.
People who take omega-3s, they feel the anxiety relief first, and then eventually it catches up with depression. But come on, some relief in one area while you're waiting for both areas to kick in is kind of nice.
Well, I mean, now you're kind of speaking my I hate the word wheelhouse. You're speaking my language. The sense that people know this. I have a huge thing about vocabulary, and I have pet peeves about words. But yeah, SSRIs are, I think, today more often than not used off-label for anxiety treatment anyway. So, if somebody just knew that, like, I don't know, a psychiatrist just knew that, it could be part of the conversation. And, it kind of drives me a little crazy because I know how little time is spent in medical school on vitamins and supplementation in terms of,
even nutrition.
Right.
Even nutrition.
Right. But I mean, in total, nutrition and vitamins is about 4 hours. And that's just not enough. It's really not enough. And I would love for, just again, my dream would be that people in the medical profession would be able to say things confidently and competently about something like that, where they're like, hey, you're not going to feel better about this for like 2-3 weeks, but it's been shown that, they don't have to say that you're definitely going to feel better, but like it's been shown that if you're taking omega-3 as a supplement because you might be a little deficient, you could start to get that feeling a little bit sooner and feel that relief, and it would be better. And the reason why I want the psychiatrist to say it, not just you, not just the life coach, is the placebo effect.
Yes.
Because there's a nocebo effect that goes on right now with supplementation that is, I think, a big mitigating factor, and it's a dampening factor for a lot of these treatments. Really, a lot of alternative treatments in general. I mean, I could go on, but I digress. But specifically for the power of diet change, nutritional change, sleep change, those sorts of things, they get downplayed by the medical community so much that there is a nocebo effect. There has to be, where I'm not seeing the benefits that I could be. And more criminal is placebo effect, especially as it relates to anti-anxiety and antidepressant. It can account for up to 40% of its efficacy.
Yes.
So we're talking, if the placebo effect on the actual drug is almost 50% of its efficacy, it might help a little bit to get them over that edge and feel a little bit better, a little bit more confident, a little bit faster, with that push from the medical professional saying this does work.
Yes. And, to a doctor's defense, I mean, you already put a very strong point in there. The curriculum is so full. It's the rare university that will have, the rare medical school that'll have more than just a few hours. I think it's the last data I saw, it's maybe about 6 weeks of nutrition, and very little on vitamin and supplements. And to a physician's defense, my gosh, they are expected to know so many things.
That's true.
And they don't get the time and the luxury. Our insurance companies are just pounding them with their caseload, and oh my gosh, I actually have a real heart for physicians right now. And that's one of the reasons I really would like to be a resource for, if you have any mental health professionals out there, physicians, nurse practitioners, I am here for a resource for you, because, being a scientist, we have a similar language that we can really get down and dirty about. But I recognize that there are so many that want this information. They want to really understand the science and the body of research. And yet, with what time?
Right.
Their patient loads are insane, and then they have all these medical records to fill out. You know how when you talk to your doctor now, they're doing a lot of this.
Yeah.
And the pressures on them are just so great. And I really acknowledge that about our physicians. And I'm trying to do like almost the impossible at this point, really trying to keep us healthy, but having so many handcuffs on.
Yeah, I agree. It's not that it's, I do the whole goodwill hunting thing. Like, it's not your fault. Like, it doesn't mean it's okay, but it's not their fault.
Right. But there are those of us out here that are here to help.
Yes. And that's the thing is, like, I know I have friends and I've worked with people who are drug reps, and they have told me like flat out, like, look, in my training, I was basically told, here's what you're going to train the doctors on the medicine. You tell them about the medication, you tell them the dosages, you tell them the side effects, you tell them how it works. And these people are going in and teaching these doctors about these drugs. There is no professional coming in and teaching them about supplements. There's no like supplement rep that's coming in and being like, well, I represent Centrum, and we're going to talk about like, here's what this multivitamin does, and here's what this supplement does. It's not the same thing, and that's sad because, like you said, the doctors don't have time. Even the drug reps, they're getting a lunch. They're coming in, and it's during a break. It's during a time where there's downtime, and that's when they're teaching them about this stuff. And you just don't see that with supplements. There's literally no time, and there's no structure. There's no system in place to give them that instruction.
Right, right. We don't have the political lobbies. We don't have the, um, the research dollars behind it. And, also we're not promising treatments. If you see a supplement that really sounds like it's sounding like it'll cure something, run away, because that is unethical marketing. We cannot say that. That's not what a vitamin does in our body. Our vitamins support the natural processes. I keep going back to that.
Yeah.
So they're never cures. There's something to sustain us and support us over the long term. So if you're going to take a range of antioxidants, what you want to take antioxidants for is to basically protect all the little electrons that are flying around during like cell reproduction and DNA reproduction and things. There are so many little electrons, and molecules want to grab those electrons, which means the DNA misses something. So we want to protect those chemical reactions. So if you have a nice range of supplements that protect, what naturally needs to happen in the cells over a period of time, then the cells don't break down as fast. And we know this, if we give this long-term protection, we know this because our DNAs have these end caps called telomeres.
I was
Dr.
really
Elizabeth
going to just
Blackburn.
ask you about
Yeah.
telomeres. I'm really happy you just brought that up.
In they call it telomeres in Britain. And I heard it from the person who discovered it, Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn. So I always say telomeres. Telomeres here in the United States. But they're like little shoestrings at the end of, those little plastic caps on a shoestring.
Yep.
Well, a telomere or a telomere is a little protective wrap of junk DNA. But that junk DNA makes sure that the DNA doesn't unravel, because as those end caps get smaller and smaller and smaller, the cell is getting more and more damaged and more frayed. And pretty soon, when they're too short, that means so many mistakes are being made in the DNA replication that the cell is now beginning to die. So when we're young, babies have long telomeres. Mm-hmm. Older people have short telomeres. Can we keep the telomeres as long as we can, as healthy as we can? This is the goal. It won't happen overnight. So if we're already diseased and we're picking up a multivitamin at 50, years old or 55 years old, because the doctor's saying, we're talking there's 30, 40, 50 years of damage that is accumulated. And what we want to do to live that longest, healthier life, we want to start young, do the best we can, pick up that next good habit, and then 6 weeks later, pick up the next best habit that we can. Do it slowly, but keep getting healthier. The younger we are, the younger we stay.
That's a fantastic kind of end cap to what we were just talking about today. And I am conscientious of the time. I know it's almost 9 o'clock. Or is about 9 o'clock. So is there anything else that you wanted to go over today before I go back over your information and make sure that people know where to find you?
Let's see. I would like to talk a little bit about quality.
Yes.
Because
great.
Quality matters. And this is one of the services I think I bring to the table so strongly. So my background is in everything from production and quality control and microbiology and brain chemistry and all sorts of wonderful things. I worked for startups, major universities, big corporations. I even taught high school chemistry and physics for a while. I really like working with young people. Um, the background is big and it allows me to look at a brand a little differently. So, we've talked a lot about multivitamins. I really like a wider range of nutrients than just the 23 that should be in a multi. I have so much I could say about that, the quality, but a couple things. People should understand that 90% of pretty much all vitamins are about the same. They're made from synthetic materials, think oil, in chemistry laboratories, well, in big chemical companies. And the raw materials are distributed out to other people who throw them into their vitamins and put a label on it. Even when we see vitamins that are deemed natural,
Yeah.
that doesn't guarantee any kind of quality. So no, I'm not going to say the fact because I'm not sure of it right now. But it doesn't have to be 100% natural to be deemed natural.
Is that true too of like when it says plant sourced?
Plant sourced should be better, but is it whole food sourced? So, like for instance, we talked about vitamin C. Well, vitamin C is a very important molecule, but isolated vitamin C is not how we get it from fruit or vegetables. We get our vitamin C with these small little molecules around it called bioflavonoids. Okay. So we want vitamin C with bioflavonoids. We may not even be sure why all that works better, but this is how nature gives us. And when we do whole food extractions, you get, more nutrients. The not only the key target, but you get more of the nutrients that come with the key target. So like I can show you vitamin C, vitamin studies that say vitamin A is very bad for, especially people who smoke. It's something very, don't smoke, first of all. If you do,
I was gonna say, wait, I
it's
think there's
worth
a better
quitting.
lesson here.
But, you know, the they use one form of vitamin A. Well, that's not how we get things from like a sweet potato or, red and orange foods. There's a whole branch of things called carotenoids. Vitamin E isn't just one species that's listed on the back. There's a group of tocopherols and tocotrienols that compose what we might think of vitamin E. So quality is like to know all these subtleties. How would somebody possibly know? It's taken me years to learn this, and I'm in the literature all the time.
And you literally have a degree in it,
Well, no, I have a degree in chemistry.
right?
And the
This sounds
chemistry,
like it's all chem lab stuff.
yeah, I mean, there's the, it's good biology too, but the benefit of my chemistry degree is helping me be able to learn and discern, okay, to understand the subtleties. So when I go and look at a brand, I've got a rubric, to keep the opinion out as much as possible and the science in as much as possible. So even in really good stores that will have whole nutrients, I still see things that are thrown in there that what's the biological significance? How could that dose possibly, that little bit of ingredient that they put in there to say, oh, we have this ingredient, but it's like, that's not therapeutic. I mean, it's hard. The subtleties are hard. The marketing is really hard on the internet.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, hey, the number one supplement for memory. And you look at their study that they show, and it's not publicized, it's not peer reviewed. And the statistics are like, oh, let's roll the dice and, 50-50 chance. I mean,
Yeah. No, I
it's like,
100%. The memory stuff is such a game too because it's so much money. These things are like $100 per like bottle. And
yeah,
there's so many of them out there. It's like, how the hell am I supposed to know which one of these I'm supposed to take?
yeah. So the last thing, if I would love to put out there, so quality matters,
Okay.
and quality is hard to discern. And if people do like connect to my website, they can sign up. Let me know they want to be on my email, and they can see my blogs and stuff, and they can get a little bit of education over time. I'm also also on my Instagram and things like that, LinkedIn. Um, But what was the last thing I wanted to say? It just went out of my head as I was saying all this. Yeah, education matters. And I am so here to help people discern some of these things. And yeah, that's why I do this 10-minute chat. In a 10-minute chat, I cannot tell you exactly what to take. I can't answer all your questions, but I can at least help people discern like if what I do, what I have is a good fit, you know. So if they, if there's a health goal, because sometimes going to the physician is the best fit. Sometimes an acupuncture or chiropractor is a great fit. And then come see me later,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I said I don't know what to recommend unless people, I talk to people because I don't want to guess about you, you
Well, yeah,
know.
that's kind of what I've been getting from this all is that we're kind of just stabbing in the dark until you do a
Yeah.
lot of testing and you talk to a lot of like professionals in your life and you get like actual data.
Yeah.
Then we're all just guessing. And you can have a good guess, you can have a best guess, but if 90% of the things on the market are the same, most of the time even you're like a great 85% guess, you're probably still getting the same crap. So,
Yeah.
that's the issue that I'm seeing is that talking to you is going to help open the door for people to be able to really dig into this stuff with an expert because I don't want to have to be an expert. Like one of my favorite
Yeah.
things to do is not be an expert at something and go
Yeah.
get one and then have them walk me through why I'm going to do the thing I'm going to do, whether it's with my car, whether it's with my heart, whether it's with nutrition. I
Yeah.
don't care. Like I just
Yeah.
don't want to have to be an expert at everything. I really don't.
Right.
And
It
but
takes too much time and energy and endless hours on the internet.
yeah.
But on that other hand, too, I'll also leave with this. Um, yeah, there are some people that get into health issues with supplements. It's not that common. So there's when we take something, it's the chances are it's not going to be very harmful unless we're taking too much way above the labels. It may not help, but chances are it's not necessarily going to hurt either. So I don't want to have people feel really fearful. A couple things we really do need to look out for. I believe, being careful with iron, being very careful with weight loss and bodybuilding products. Most of the injuries that occur are on those two categories, weight loss products and bodybuilding products. Those can get very dangerous
Okay.
and end up with liver and stomach and all sorts of things. Um, the but for the most part, you're not going to get hurt by supplements. It's people are not ending up in the ER overdosing from supplements. You know, I again stick to what's on the recommended label dosages unless you're working with somebody who is, knows something about this.
Okay.
And then, like your doctor might ask you to take more than what is on the label because you need it.
No, that's
And then we listen, right?
yeah, no, that is good to know because I don't want to put that damper on people either to just be like, oh well, I mean, it's if you're not talking to somebody about it, just don't do anything. I this has been fantastic and it went by really really fast.
Yeah.
I have so many more things that I want to talk about. I do want to get more into detail. I'd love to have you back on to talk about creatine, melatonin, those sorts of
Oh yeah,
supplements.
yeah.
That I just think is and black licorice. That's another one that I want to talk about because
Okay.
I have
I
had
have to write
personal
these
issues
down
with
so
that.
I remember for you next time. So creatine, black
And melatonin.
licorice, and melatonin.
Yes.
Yeah, I
And
have a lot of thoughts about melatonin.
yes. So I do want to do a whole thing about that. Um, oh, okay. We have one last question, if you don't mind. Any thoughts on pharmacogenomics?
The brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I have them in my notes, but offhand, I mean, it's one of the 300 or 400 products I've looked at. That brand has been in some of the products. So I'm sorry, I can't like
No,
pop
that's
it
fine.
off on my head.
It's.
But you can always, connect with me and I can
I
pull
was
out
just
notes.
gonna say that. Like honestly, Suki goes bang. If you can go into the description, honestly, get that 10-minute chat. It's right here. The link is in the description. And everybody who's been on here, we've had a consistent amount of viewers actually throughout this entire thing.
Oh, good news.
It's been a higher number than even usual. So this has obviously been something interesting. Please at least take the time to go click on that link. and get that 10-minute consultation. You know you wanna. I mean, obviously you know you wanna because you're interested and you're listening to these questions and answers. Why not talk to her yourself about your own health? It's free. It's easy.
Yeah.
She's asking you to do it. I would highly encourage you to do it. Also, it probably is going to be a really fun conversation. So,
Okay, can I say one thing? If
yes, please.
everybody on the broadcast like tries to get a 10-minute at once, I might have to like email you back and saying, okay, can we do it next week?
Yeah.
So
listen,
there's only
it's a
so
good
many I
problem
can
to
do a
have.
day.
That's a good problem. I want you to tell me, look, you jerk, you got all these people that like signed up for these 10 minutes and now I need to like chill out and give some time. I think that's a great problem to have. I think you're fantastic. I think you're an excellent expert and resource. And again, I'd love to have you back on here. And so all your information, your social media, everything is in the description. And Ashley McGavin, thank you for liking today's stream too. I'm glad you enjoyed it. This is Susan Buta. Thank you so much for being on here. And
I appreciate it. It was so much fun.
Yeah, this was good. And like I said,
see y'all. Wish I could see your faces.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, take care, y'all.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, that was a great interview with a great expert. I think that this was one of the people that I've been trying to get on for a while. She is excellent, and we had like a 2-hour conversation just between the two of us talking about this kind of stuff, and it was great. It was just really fun. If you are watching this live but you just got on, this will be obviously being played on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch as a VOD. I will do a little bit of editing on that, and then you can watch this later on as well. Please feel free to like and comment and subscribe on all of those platforms. You know how to do those things. It does really help out this channel. But thank you again to Susan for being on here. It was just a pleasure to have her, and I can't wait to have her again. Let me know if you want to see her again. I will put her back in the rotation. Next week, we have another guest, so just some housekeeping. Next week, I was going to do the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but the guest is set for Thursday. So I think next week is going to be the last week of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then we're moving to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to start. Set your alerts, set your notifications, set your calendars, because it's going to be a wild week next week. I'm going to leave it there because this was just too good, and I have nothing better to offer after this. I'm very happy to have that, and you guys are great. Thanks for being on here. You all, I hope, have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you all on Tuesday next week. I'm going to send you off with some music from Stillface, and you all have a great night. Thank you.